Good afternoon, everybody. Here is Sir Jude, and here is the final video lecture for our final lesson for first term. Okay, so it's been a while since we had our last discussion due to a week-long class suspension. No, um, let's start with the familiarization drill. Determine the factor affecting biogeography in each scenario. So Hawaiian honey creepers are found exclusively in the Hawaii Islands. So this is geographical isolation, meaning you can't find these species of birds elsewhere. Okay. Next, we have the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa volcano destroyed much of the island's original terrestrial community. This is historical events. Oxpeckers feed on insects attracted to carabaos, while the carabaos are generally unharmed by the interaction. This is species interaction. And this one is an example of commensalism because oxpeckers benefit from the carabaos, while the carabaos remain unharmed. Camels are better adapted to survive and reproduce in hot, dry deserts than in rainforests or frigid environments. This one is climate. Steep cliffs, rugged terrain, and the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon restrict the movement of desert bighorn sheep between areas. This one is physical barriers in the form of steep cliffs, rugged terrain, and the Colorado River. And finally, wildlife managers and zoological experts establish national parks and protected areas to reduce elephant hunting and conserve elephant populations. So this is human activities. Now, we devoted our session earlier to discussing why are giraffes mostly long neck? And we answered the question through a series of theories of evolution. Now, remember, the very first ATN that I asked you to do was to simply write the sentences that would make for the story explaining why giraffes or why do most species of giraffes are long neck. So let's start with number one. So long ago, short and long neck giraffes coexisted in the same savanna. So both of uh, the three giraffes here of the same species, and they vary in terms of their neck lengths. Therefore, the theory involved for number one is variation. And when we say variation, you have differences in traits within the same species. So in human beings, no, especially in the classroom, um, when we enter inside, you have two sets of genders. You have one male and one female. Okay. Next, you also have students with different capabilities, different heights, different hair colors, different skin colors, different religion, different background, etc., etc. But we belong to one species called humans or Homo sapiens. Next, so if they coexisted together, so once they are produced, so short and long neck giraffes birthed short and long neck giraffes respectively. This one is heredity. And when we say heredity, this is passing of traits from parents to offspring. Short neck giraffes will give birth to short neck giraffes, while long neck giraffes will give birth to long neck giraffes. So sometimes, no, other people will tell us that we inherited traits from either or we resemble our fathers or our mothers. But take note that we don't inherit all the traits from our parents. There are some that are passed on, but not all. Next is number three, a geographic barrier separated the population of giraffes from the others. So this one is isolation. And isolation refers to separation of species due to geographical barriers. And in this example, we have the mountain as our physical barrier. In the class, in the school, no, with students, all students are separated in terms of their section and they get to dwell inside their own classroom. So they won't feel the noise will be concentrated on one room only. Okay? So far so good. Nangalahati na tayo. Next part of the story is number four. Long neck giraffes can reach food faster than short neck giraffes. So at this point, the environment starts to be unfair and select the species with the most adaptable traits. Therefore, here we have adaptation. It's the long neck giraffes who can adapt in the savannah compared to short neck giraffes because their long necks are advantageous when reaching their food, which is trees above and grasses below. When we say adaptation, this refers to organisms with advantageous traits to reproduce more. But of course, no, we don't have unlimited supply of natural resources. Kaya in number five, food became scarce. Short and long neck giraffes fought. So this one is easy competition. Okay, obviously between the two, the long neck giraffe will probably win. So when we say competition, there is struggle when it comes to food or for food, territory, or meat. Especially when natural resources become uh, continuously depleted. And finally, is number six. So long neck giraffes therefore dominated their species. May mga short neck giraffes pa din, but they are outnumbered by long neck giraffes. So this one is natural selection or survival of the fittest. Okay, so yeah, these are the theories governing evolution. So differences in traits within the same species would have variation. Passing of traits from parents to offspring, we have heredity. Separation of species due to geographical barriers, we have isolation. Organisms, the advantageous traits reproduce more. We have adaptation. Struggle for food, territory, and mate, we have competition. And finally, is survival of the fittest. This is natural selection. So these theories are there were scientists who originated these theories, no, but the ones who culminated them into a single idea about evolution is none other than Charles Darwin. So according to Charles Darwin, if you ask him the question, who are the strongest species, he wouldn't give you a specific species because some species that the typical answers like lion or tiger, no, or even human beings, we all have our strengths and limitations. Okay, so for him, who are the strongest species? So they are not considered physically fit just because you go to gym or you have a large body or you are muscular doesn't mean that you're automatically considered the strongest. Because for example, if you are bulky but you drown underwater, you can't you're if you don't know how to swim, therefore your physical fitness doesn't matter at all. Okay, no matter how handsomely muscular you are or how toned your body is. Okay. Next is stronger species are not necessarily the smartest. Okay. I've heard many answers saying that monkeys, chimpanzees are the smartest species, and I don't debunk some of them. I don't also claim to be that they are indeed the strongest species because there's no definitive answer here because yeah, they're smartest because they happen to live in their proper environment. That's the next qualification here, no? But put them in environments that they are not naturally suited to, that therefore they are considered probably quote unquote stupid in their area, no? Especially if you put them somewhere in caves or in the sky or in the water, it's their smartness doesn't matter there. That's why it's very important that in number three, the organism is in the right environment. Because it is in the right environment when you can unleash your potentials. Okay? When you can shine, basically, survive, thrive. Okay? Now, just because you are in the right environment doesn't automatically mean that the environment will do the work for you in order to survive. You also have to adapt to the constant changes. Change is the only thing in the world that it is constant. Okay? So no matter what you do, yeah, I know that this lesson can be philosophical. I know life is hard. I know life is painful and excruciating, but there are also so many things to enjoy. But once life gets overwhelming or problematic or chaotic, you may rest, You may cry, you may angry, but at the same time, you don't give up. Okay? This world is unfair because all of us species have our strengths and weaknesses. You can't compare one to the other. And once you compare yourself, what standard will you borrow? Will you elevate yourself in order to feel superior to others, or do you make others pity you? And if others pity you, then at what cost? No? Do you make do you make others feel sorry for yourself? Okay? So at some point, no, when you start comparing ourselves to others, no, there will always be a person who is handsome or a bit more handsome or more beautiful than us, more smarter than us, more taller than us, funnier than us, okay? More magnetic, more charming than us. But it's not the whether you compare which one is superior or inferior when it comes to adjectives. It's the way you deal with your strengths and weaknesses without competing with each other, without harboring jealousy or resentment. Because once you harbor jealousy or resentment or envy, that's where the problem arises because of ego. In the animal kingdom, you don't hear a lion and a tiger saying, "Oh, lion ako, tiger ka." In the plant kingdom, you don't hear plants saying, "Oh, onion ako, garlic ka." No, because they have first of all, animals and plants do not have rational consciousness. No, they don't verbalize each other. It's for them, it's fight or flight. It's us human beings who like to put hierarchy, and we are not the highest species among. Okay, because for Darwin, there no species is above all others. We contribute to the balance, and sometimes also no other organisms contribute to the unbalance in the imbalance rather in the ecosystem. Okay? So how about the weaker, quote unquote, weaker species? How have they managed to survive? No? So for example, rabbits, fishes, and insects. Put them together with another animal, they will likely lose, especially bigger ones who are bigger than them. For rabbits, put them in just tawag dito, talo is what I'm saying. They will lose because they don't have the greatest offense and defense. No matter how colorful or unappealing or unpalatable or dangerous insects are, no matter how fishes are great in water, may mga sharks pa din. No, they will always be vulnerable to threats, and even rabbits. Okay, so how have they managed not to be extinct even though they are considered relatively weak? So they overproduce themselves. They produce a large number of their offspring. Kaya hindi nauubos yung lahi nila, which is kinda amazing then because they don't have to talk about preservation of their species. What they do is that they just continue having sex and sex and sex for however long or however occasion that they want to. Para hindi maubos ang lahi nila. Okay, sorry for the internet interruption. Okay, so we have overproduction or production of large number of offspring. This is essentially for species who are considered relatively weaker, but they don't get extinct yet. Okay, so ayan. Now, let's review all the theories of evolution that we mentioned. We have seven: adaptation, competition, heredity, isolation, natural selection, overproduction, and variation. So, we'll be tackling several animals here, unlike the ones before na nag-focus tayo sa giraffe, no? So, the vast majority of kangaroos live in Australia. This one is isolation. Okay. Next, male chameleons use their bright colors and visual displays to contend with rivals and attract potential mates. This one is competition. Okay, because chameleons kasi have varieties of colors which they use to camouflage or blend in with their surroundings. And possibly to impress their mates. Next, what a cute organism. So we have porcupines, no? So porcupines with barbed quills are better protected against predators, while those without are more vulnerable to attacks. No matter how cute porcupines are, you don't get to hold them, especially near your private area, because that's where most of their barbed quills are located. Okay, and once they get triggered, no, they might what do you call this? Uh, they might get agitated and attack you by not stabbing but piercing you with their barbed quills. Okay, so if they have barbed quills, then they can use them to attack their predators. But if they don't have barbed quills, then the predators will attack them. Therefore, this scenario is an application of of adaptation. Okay, cockroaches, one of the most disliked insects in the world. Okay, so female cockroaches typically produce about 9 to 10 egg cases during their lifetime, with each case containing approximately 40 to 16 eggs. So, wag na kayong magtaka kung bakit ang bilis dumami ng mga ipis. Not only because their eggs are encased like in their egg cases, but each egg case can also contain 14 to 16 eggs, which is quite a lot. And yeah, you may call cockroach a relatively weak species because it is an insect, but at the same time, it's one of the most formidable animals in the world. It can actually survive nuclear holocaust, no? But in this scenario, this one is an example of overproduction, no? Yeah, so don't underestimate the power of cockroaches, especially when they fly. Okay? So camels differ in the number and size of their humps, coat color and thickness, body build, temperature, tolerance, water availability, and domestication. So once you hear the word breeds, you have the same species but different traits. Therefore, this one is variation. Okay? Next, so non-venomous snakes resistant to venom pass this trait to their offspring. Those without venom resistance gave birth to offspring without venom resistance. Basically, in the snake kingdom or snake family, no, there are more non-venomous snakes than venomous snakes. But at the same time, only a few snakes have venom resistance. Okay? Kaya if you are a non-venomous with snake with venom resistance, no, you might have the tendency to pass the trait to your offspring. So therefore, this is an example of heredity. Okay? And lastly, the organisms most likely to survive and reproduce are not necessarily the strongest nor the smartest, but those with inherited traits best suited to their environment and changing conditions. This one is the tenet of natural selection. All right, so that's it for this lesson, and that's it also for the first term. So apologies if I didn't get to finish all our lessons prior to the class suspensions, no? We would have devoted this week for review, but yeah, we have to finish the lesson first. But don't worry, in the following days we will finish first term first term activities before the first term examination. We will review all the pointers, all the topics that will be included in your first term examination. Okay? But in the meantime, please prepare because you will construct a story for your designated animals tomorrow, their evolution and their dominant trait. Because this morning we focus on giraffes kasi and their longs. And tomorrow I will assign a specific animal to each of you. But till then, this is Sir Jude. Please review this lesson for tomorrow's activity. Good afternoon, goodbye, and stay safe.